everybody, welcome to Starting Line Church. My name is Al. I am one of the pastors here, and we're just so glad that you are here with us as we conclude our series called DNA. This is the last week of our series, which has been all about the identity and makeup of Starting Line Church. We believe that we have a specific mission and purpose that sets us apart to do what God has called us to do in this world. So in this series, we've been looking at the DNA and the identity of who we are to figure out how we as individuals belong in it so we can be part of what God is doing. So far, we've talked about our name and our mission, our three values, and the mile markers along our faith journey that we think are important to reach. If you've missed any of those, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to them to get caught up. But this week is an exciting week. It's a unique week because we get to do what we call Missional Sunday. We as a church believe in the importance of being missional in the world around us. And this doesn't necessarily mean we just throw a bunch of programs at things. This means being active participants in our relationships with others, our local community, our nation, and our world. We don't ever want to view things around us like they need our saving or they're desperate for our help. We simply just want to step into lives and places that God has called us to make God's glory known and to make the love of Jesus known by the way we act, serve, and treat people. So today on Missional Sunday, we get to dedicate this day to talking about all that we get to do in the life of Starting Line Church. This is a big part of who we are and the unique identity that God has called us to. So in a little bit, you'll get to hear about all of our partners when it comes to these three different ways we engage. But first, we want to begin today by diving into Scripture. We're going to be in the book of Mark. Mark is one of the Gospels, one of the books of the Bible that document the life of Jesus and the ministry of Jesus. And so much of Jesus' ministry and time with people was spent bringing new meaning to things and changing people's perspectives on many different things. We come across a passage in Mark 10 where he's traveling with his disciples on their way to Jerusalem, and two of them, James and John, have an important and burning question for Jesus. So Mark chapter 10, starting in verse 35, this is what it says. Then James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came over and spoke to him. "Teacher," they said, "we want you to do us a favor." "What's your request?" Jesus asked. They replied, "When you sit on your glorious throne, we want to sit in places of honor next to you, one on your right and the other on your left." So here are James and John. They're walking with the living God. They're learning from the living God. And all they're worried about right now is their position in heaven. When they all get to heaven, they're worried about where they're going to be, where their place is going to be, where they're going to sit. They're like, "Hey, Jesus, if it's not too much to ask, can we have this tiny little favor before anybody beats us to the punch? Are you serious?" And Jesus, what we learn after this happens is that Jesus is like, "Oh my gosh, you are very confused, bros. We need to have a conversation." And so he begins to have a conversation with them. And verse 41, this is what happens. When the 10 other disciples heard what James and John had asked Jesus, they were indignant. So Jesus called them together and said, "You know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you, it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must be the slave of everyone else. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many." So it's right here that Jesus changes their perspective. It's right here that he's redefining what greatness is. Because what did James and John really want? They wanted to be known. They wanted to be seen. They wanted to be heard. They wanted to be respected and admired and important and knowledgeable and the best. They wanted to be great. They wanted to obtain greatness, and they're confused because they thought that this kind of greatness was obtained through power and authority and control and feeling like no one could mess with them. But Jesus looks at them and says, you will be different. In other translations of the Bible in this verse, it says, not so with you. You are not going to be like that. You are not going to act like that. You are not going to be great through arrogance and pride and acting like you're better than people. You're not going to be great through high status and high success. That is not the way of Jesus. You want to be great? Become a servant. Be humble. That's how you become great. So Jesus, he's describing faith and leadership and greatness from a whole new perspective. He's saying instead of using people, we serve them. Instead of taking advantage of any kind of authority we have as something to be gained from our end, we are to use it to serve. Instead of using power to assume that we're better than people, we are to use it to serve others. Jesus reminds us here that whatever role you are in, seek to serve, not to be served. This is what Jesus models for us in his life when it says, for the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others. See, being missional, getting in the lives of people can be messy. It can be chaotic. Serving others is about getting our hands dirty and putting others before ourselves. It's stepping into other people's lives and not just waiting for them to come to us. If Jesus, God in the flesh, won his greatest achievement on a shameful cross where he gave his life as a sacrifice for the entire world, even people who would reject him repeatedly, what else could he imply that true greatness comes in humble service? He says, you want to be great? Go be a servant. You want to be great? You want to be first? Go be last. We want to be people who live out our purpose in serving with a joyful heart. And there are different ways that we do that here at Starting Line, and we're going to spend our time, the rest of our time, talking about those things. So the three areas that we get to engage with in our world are community engagement, national engagement, and world engagement. We do those three things in three different ways. The first one is community engagement. The first area that we get to dive into is this. We want to be active participants in our community, not just a church who randomly has a North Ridgeville address or who gives money to things. We want to be active participants in the life of North Ridgeville. So the way that we do that here is through a partnership with the Early Childhood Learning Community. This is the preschool and kindergarten school here in North Ridgeville. And we get to interact with so many of them, and it's incredible. And we get to be partners with them in what they're doing in the community, because what they're doing is so amazing. And we get to partner with them in that and support them and be there for them. We established this partnership with them right when we started at the beginning. Principal Vance is the principal there, and we get to connect with her on a regular basis and hear what's going on in the life of the school and hear how we can partner and support them. But there are a couple different ways that we get to partner with them and that you guys are a part of and you can be a part of. The first one is recess. We get to be recess monitors and be with the kids at recess every single week. We started out doing this just one day a week. We kind of transitioned to 2 days a week. So we get to just be with them. We get to talk to teachers. We get to engage with students. We get to give teachers a break when they just need to go to the bathroom for 5 minutes. Like, it's been so amazing. There have been so many conversations that even I've had with teachers about faith and about church and things that about our relationship that has deepened over time because we're consistent and we get to be there every single week. So if that's something that you ever want to do, please reach out to us. We would love for you to join us in that. The second one is our trunk or treat event that happens at the end of October. We get to put on an entire trunk or treat event where we decorate all the cars and bring candy and pass out candy, and kids come in their costumes, and it's amazing. And we get to love on these families and create this event for them to come and engage together. We've even had some cool interactions of things where we get to be a part of and have conversations about church and about faith. But trunk or treat happens, and that's a highlight for our year. The third thing is we get to be a part of staff appreciation. We believe that educators just do so much for our community. And so we get to be a part of staff appreciation. We get to give them gifts. We get to buy them food. We get to write them notes. We get to encourage them in the ways that they need encouraged because the school year is long. So there's so many things that we get to do and be part of. Your giving goes to this. Your energy when you come and serve at these events goes to this. This is a big part of who we are because, again, we want to be active participants in the lives of these families. So we're thankful for what God is doing there. We're incredibly thankful for what the ECLC does for the community. You impact our students and our parents and just the families in North Ridgeville, and it goes a very long way. The second way that we engage is our national engagement. We do that specifically through a partnership called the Awaken Network. It's founded out of a church called Ransom Church in South Dakota, and it's a network of churches that seek to start more churches all over the nation. They sent us a while back a globe, and it has all kinds of different pins in it of all the churches that have been planted or are getting ready to plant from the network. And I love this because it's a cool visual of the kingdom work that we get to be a part of, so that we get to be a part of as we engage with our world. I recently had a conversation with someone about this Awaken Network, and I want you to check it out. Hey everybody, Al here from Starting Line Church. I have a wonderful friend of mine who I want to introduce to you, and we're going to talk about some cool things today. So take it away.
Yeah, well, my name is Mandy, and I am here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I am what we call the Awaken and Residency Pastor here. And Awaken is something that maybe you've heard at Starting Line. Starting Line is one of our major church partners who partners with us to plant churches all over the U.S. And so my role is to help train church planters and to develop and send them, as well as we have some young pastors that I also train. So that's kind of my role here at Ransom. And that's how I met Zach and Al.
Yes, all those years ago. I can't believe that. So, Mandy, can you give us a little insight just around like why we plant churches? Why is that important? Why should we care about that? Because that's something that we have Starting Line Church really care about, not because we're just a church plant, but we care about it to plant churches all across our nation. So why do we plant churches? Like, why is that an important thing for the church worldwide?
Yeah, if we think about Jesus's last words before he's taking up to heaven, he talks about being empowered with the Spirit, and that because of that, you're going to go and be my witnesses to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. And so Jesus' command is for us to be witnesses to his people. Mm-hmm. And one of the most effective ways to reach new people for the gospel is to plant churches, because they're just more accepted. Like, they love the idea of going and stepping into a new place, something that doesn't fit the stereotypical church setting. And so they're more open to a conversation when they meet somebody that is planting a church. But as we think about just the last 3 years since Awaken has been in existence, since churches have been partnering together, we were just running the stats actually the other day. And so we have seen through all the church plants, 57 people make decisions to follow Jesus, 58 people decide to get baptized. And some of those are right there in Cleveland. It's at Starting Line. And we get to do those things together because it matters, because it's not just, hey, those are great numbers, because they are, but those numbers represent a person. They represent people. And so when I think about names like Michaela and Paul and Anna from your church, when I think about them, those numbers excite me. But also when I think about my friends and family who aren't represented in those numbers yet, it means that we're not done yet.
I love that. I love that. That's so beautiful. And I think, we're all in this together on this journey. And I often think a lot about even just the idea of multiplication versus addition. Like when you multiply something, you're going to get more amount of it in the long run, whether you just add. And so that's, a lot of what we're about and what we're seeking towards. So can you just share a little bit, even with our people who are watching this right now, like how is Starting Line Church specifically a part of that? What do we do? How are we part of that? And why does it matter?
Yeah. So one of the things that I really love about Awaken, and just the thing that we've all been building together, is this idea of unity. We are not one voice in a silo. We're like together in unity, reaching people for Jesus. So like I said, we have 16 different churches that are partnered together to do that. And one of them is Starting Line Church. And so through just generosity, the financial gifts that you give that get contributed to that, through your prayers, through updates, we get to celebrate at the wins of a shared mission together. And then, of course, we talked about just the numbers that we get to see of people who are experiencing Jesus. But what that goes towards is, so every year we train church planters. And so we're getting to say, hey, there's no one church, no one voice that gets to be in influence over this church planter. We all get to speak into them. So, I mean, over the years, you've helped develop those planters. Zach and Al have been coaches for those planters, and we get to get on a collective call together with all the planters and support and contribute to one another. And so your role is really pivotal in just seeing more churches brought to new places all over the U.S.
That's so awesome. We're thankful for what you do, Mandy. And we're just excited to partner with Awaken and see more churches planted and more people come to know and encounter Jesus. So we're thankful for you.
Yeah, we can't wait to build the kingdom together. Thankful for you too.
Absolutely. All right. We will talk to you later.
All right. See ya.
Well, thanks, Al and Mandy, for giving us a glimpse into the Awaken Network and all that God is doing all over the United States in planting churches. My name is Zach, and I'm one of the pastors here, and I want to wrap up our time together by just sharing with you this third area of missional engagement that Al shared, and specifically this idea of world engagement. One of our partners, or our partner for this, is an organization called Casas por Cristo. And so Casas exists primarily in Central America, and their goal is to spread the gospel by meeting the physical need of building houses. And so they have built somewhere over, I think, 6,000 houses throughout Mexico, Guatemala, the Dominican Republic, and now they are also in Honduras as well. And so they are our mission partners, and so we strategically partner with them in two different ways. The first is through supporting one of their missionaries in the field. Kyle and his family are on the ground in San Raimundo, Guatemala. And so they are field leaders there, and so they bring in teams that help build houses for low-income families in that area, and then get them connected with the church and are able to share about Jesus, to share the gospel with them by providing for this huge physical need for them. And so we support Kyle and his family. We love them. They are great. Hopefully someday you get to meet them either by coming on one of our trips with us or one of the times that they come up and visit. But something exciting, and the way that I want to wrap up our time together today is by sharing that we actually have a team going down to Guatemala at the end of this year. So in December, right after Christmas, we have a team right now of potentially 10 that are going down to San Raimundo, Guatemala to participate in a build down there. And so we will be going down for about 6 days and going and building a house for a family there. And we were just so excited to be part of this amazing opportunity to do some hands-on mission work there in Guatemala. So one of the ways that you can be a part of that, if you want to get involved in world engagement, is we will have trips that are coming up in the coming years. And so we would love for you to be a part of those in the future. But one of the ways specifically that you can be part is you can actually help support the team that is going down right now. And so there are two main ways that we are asking people who maybe aren't physically going on the trip to be part of this. The first is to be simply in prayer for this team as we prepare, as we get ready, as we ramp up over these next couple of months to go down to Guatemala to serve. There's obviously a lot of logistics that go into it, a lot of even just preparation that goes into that. So would you be praying for our team, just specifically that this would be just an opportunity that we would get to impact the life of a family here in Guatemala, that we would have opportunities to share about Jesus with them, but also for the people that are going, that this would be an experience that would grow their faith as well. We know that by serving, it unlocks something special inside of us and actually helps to deepen our faith. We become more like Jesus when we serve. And so would you just pray for the team ahead of time as we prepare, as we go through this process. But maybe you couldn't physically make it on this trip, but you still want to support financially. We would love that. We are beginning our fundraising phase for this. So part of it is, we pay for our way to get down there, but we are also paying for the materials to actually physically build the house for the family in Guatemala. And so if that's something that you would want to donate to, you can do that in a variety of ways. You can do that at any of our in-person gatherings. You can do that through the mail. We'll put our mailing address down. If you send in a check, just write in the memo line, Casas 2023, or you can give online at startingline.church/give. And when you do that, when you go to give your gift, there is an option there for you to select the Casas Trip 2023 to specifically donate to. So thank you again just for joining us on this Mission Sunday as we're just reminded of the call of Jesus to serve our community, to serve our nation, and to serve our world. Have a great week.